My aunt stole my daughter's hair and made a shrine to her. Me, 38F, and my husband, 40M, had been trying to have a child for years. After multiple failed IVF attempts and heartbreaking miscarriages, we finally welcomed our miracle baby, a beautiful little girl we named Emma. My sister Sarah, 35F, was thrilled to become an aunt, and she doted on Emma from the moment she was born. Sarah had always been the wild child of the family, constantly seeking attention and validation from our parents. Despite her antics, we remained close, and I thought she was genuinely happy for us. Little did I know, her joy was merely a facade, masking a deep-seated jealousy and resentment that would soon spiral out of control. Sarah had never been able to hold down a stable relationship or a decent job. She bounced from one failed endeavor to another, relying heavily on our parents for financial support. When Emma came along, the attention she once craved from our parents shifted towards our little bundle of joy. At first, Sarah seemed understanding, but over time, her behavior became increasingly erratic. She would show up unannounced at our house, demanding to spend time with Emma, often monopolizing her and making snide remarks about our parenting choices. My husband and I tried to be patient, attributing her behavior to the stress of her latest failed relationship and job loss. Little did we know that her obsession with Emma was turning into something far more sinister. One day, while Sarah was over for a visit, I noticed her slip something into her purse when she thought I wasn't looking. Alarm bells went off in my head, and I decided to investigate further. After she left, I discreetly went through her purse and was horrified to find a lock of Emma's hair, along with several photographs of her that had been taken without our knowledge or consent. It dawned on me then that Sarah's fixation on Emma had crossed a dangerous line. Disturbed by my findings, I confronted my husband, and we decided to install security cameras around our home. Over the next few weeks, the footage revealed a chilling pattern. Sarah had been breaking into our house when we weren't home, spending hours in Emma's room and rifling through her belongings. The worst part? She had been taking more hair samples and personal items, building what appeared to be a shrine to our daughter in her apartment. We were sickened to our core and knew we had to take immediate action to protect our family. We arranged a family dinner, inviting our parents and Sarah, with the intention of confronting her in a controlled environment. As expected, Sarah showed up acting like nothing was amiss, doting on Emma and showering her with affection. When we revealed the evidence, the stolen items, the security footage, and the disturbing shrine, she flew into a rage, accusing us of being paranoid and overreacting. Our parents were horrified, but Sarah refused to listen to reason, storming out of the house and severing all ties with us. In the weeks that followed, Sarah's behavior escalated to new heights of madness. She would leave threatening messages on our answering machine, send rambling emails filled with vitriol, and even show up at our house in the middle of the night, pounding on the doors and windows. We lived in constant fear, never knowing when or how she would strike next. Our once close family was torn apart, with our parents caught in the middle, torn between their love for their grandchild and their misguided loyalty to their troubled daughter. Despite our best efforts to reason with her, Sarah remained unhinged, consumed by her obsession with Emma. She would follow us to the park, the grocery store, and even Emma's daycare, always keeping a watchful eye on our every move. One particularly harrowing incident involved Sarah showing up at Emma's daycare during pickup, demanding to take her home with her. The staff, thankfully, recognized the situation and refused to release Emma to her, but the experience left us shaken and feeling helpless. We tried everything, restraining orders, changing our routines, even hiring private security, but nothing seemed to deter Sarah. She was like a woman possessed, hell-bent on inserting herself into Emma's life, no matter the cost. My husband and I were at our wits' end, constantly living in fear and dreading the next confrontation. Our once happy family life had been reduced to a waking nightmare, and we knew drastic measures were called for. After consulting with our lawyers and the authorities, we made the agonizing decision to move across the country, cutting all ties with our families and starting over in a new city where Sarah couldn't find us. It was a heart-wrenching choice, but one we felt was necessary to protect our daughter and preserve what little semblance of normalcy we had left. We left in the middle of the night, leaving no forwarding address, and changed our names as an added precaution. For a while, it seemed like our plan had worked. We settled into our new life, Emma thrived in her new environment, and we slowly began to rebuild the sense of security that had been shattered by Sarah's actions. But just when we thought we were in the clear, Sarah resurfaced, having tracked us down through a private investigator. The harassment started anew, with late-night phone calls, menacing letters, and even a few close calls where we spotted her lurking near our home or Emma's school. Desperate and out of options, we took the nuclear option, We filed a defamation lawsuit against Sarah, alleging that her campaign of harassment and false accusations had caused us severe emotional distress and damaged our reputations. The legal battle was long and costly, but in the end, we prevailed. Sarah was ordered to pay a staggering sum in damages and was prohibited from coming within a certain distance of our family or contacting us in any way. While the legal victory was a relief, the emotional and financial toll of the ordeal had taken its toll on our family. We were drained, both emotionally and financially, and the stress had put a significant strain on our marriage. Sarah, meanwhile, remained defiant and unapologetic, claiming that she was the true victim and that we had stolen her rightful place in Emma's life. She refused to pay the court-ordered damages, forcing us to pursue further legal action to garnish her wages and seize her assets. The legal battles continued for years, with Sarah filing countless appeals and motions, dragging us through a never-ending cycle of court appearances and legal fees. It was a Pyrrhic victory, as we had won the battle but at the cost of our peace of mind and financial stability. Through it all, we remained steadfast in our determination to protect Emma and give her the stable, loving home she deserved. We sacrificed our relationships with our families, our careers, and our financial security, all in the name of keeping our daughter safe from her aunt's unhinged obsession. The emotional scars of Sarah's actions ran deep, and even years later, we struggled to fully trust others or let our guard down. Emma, now a teenager, had grown up in the shadow of her aunt's madness, never truly understanding the depths of her obsession but feeling the ripple effects nonetheless. We sought counseling to help us process the trauma and work through the residual fear and anxiety that lingered long after Sarah had been legally neutralized. It was a slow and painful process, but one that ultimately brought our family closer together and helped us find a sense of healing and closure. Looking back, it's hard to fathom how someone we once loved and trusted could have descended into such a dark place, driven by jealousy and an unhealthy fixation on a child. Sarah's actions forever altered the course of our lives, forcing us to make difficult choices and sacrifices that no family should ever have to endure. But through it all, we remained steadfast in our love for Emma and our determination to protect her, no matter the cost. Our story is a cautionary tale of the lengths a parent will go to safeguard their child, and a testament to the resilience of the human spirit in the face of unimaginable adversity. While the scars may never fully heal, we've emerged from this ordeal stronger, wiser, and more grateful for the love and bonds that truly matter. Our nuclear revenge may have come at a great personal cost, but it was a price we would gladly pay 1,000 times over to keep our family safe and secure. Break Story 2. Me, 28F, and my husband Jake, 30M, have been together for 5 years, married for 2. We've had our ups and downs, but overall, our relationship has been pretty solid. That is, until my mother-in-law, 55F, came into the picture. From the moment Jake and I started dating, his mother, let's call her Karen, has been nothing but trouble. She's the epitome of a narcissistic, overbearing mother-in-law who thinks her son can do no wrong. Despite our efforts to maintain a cordial relationship with her, Karen has always found ways to make things difficult. She'd constantly criticize my cooking, my appearance, and even the way I kept our home. Nothing I did was ever good enough for her precious son. Things took a turn for the worse when Jake and I decided to get a dog. We both love animals, and after much discussion, we adopted an adorable golden retriever puppy named Buddy. We were over the moon with our new furry addition to the family. That's when Karen's true colors started to show. She'd make snide comments about how we were irresponsible for getting a pet and how we wouldn't be able to handle the responsibility. Little did we know, her actions were about to become even more sinister. One day, Jake came home from work to find Buddy nowhere to be found. We searched high and low, but our beloved pup was gone. That's when we noticed the back gate was wide open, something we always made sure to keep closed. Panic set in as we realized Buddy must have escaped. We immediately began searching the neighborhood, putting up flyers, and contacting local shelters. Days went by without any sign of him, and our hearts were breaking. It wasn't until a week later that we got a lead. A neighbor mentioned seeing Karen around our backyard the day Buddy went missing. At first, we brushed it off, but as more pieces started to come together, a sinking feeling settled in our stomachs. We decided to confront Karen about the neighbor's claim. When we brought it up, she became defensive and dismissive, insisting she had nothing to do with Buddy's disappearance. However, her body language and evasive answers only raised more suspicions. Jake, being the level-headed one, suggested we install security cameras around our property. If Karen was indeed behind Buddy's disappearance, we'd have proof. Little did we know, the situation was about to take an even darker turn. A few days later, we reviewed the footage from the security cameras, and our worst fears were confirmed. The video showed Karen sneaking into our backyard, luring Buddy with treats, and then carrying him out through the gate. We were devastated and furious. How could someone we trusted, someone who was supposed to be family, do something so cruel and heartless? We immediately confronted Karen with the evidence, but her reaction was shocking. Instead of showing remorse or attempting to explain herself, Karen became enraged. She accused us of being unfit pet owners and claimed she was rescuing Buddy from our negligence. The nerve of this woman was astounding. We demanded to know where she had taken Buddy, but she refused to give us any information. It was clear she had no intention of returning our beloved pet to us. At that moment, we realized we were dealing with someone who was not only narcissistic but also potentially mentally unstable. In a desperate attempt to reason with her, we tried to appeal to her maternal side. We explained how much Buddy meant to us and how heartbroken we were. But Karen remained unmoved, spouting nonsense about how she was doing us a favor. It became evident that she was not going to budge, and our only option was to involve the authorities. We filed a police report, accusing Karen of theft and animal cruelty. The investigation was underway, but the emotional toll it was taking on us was immense. As the days passed, Karen's behavior became increasingly erratic. She would show up at our house unannounced, demanding to see Buddy or leaving threatening notes on our doorstep. Her obsession with our dog had reached alarming heights. We tried to reason with Jake's father, 60M, hoping he could talk some sense into his wife, but he was unable and refused to get involved. It was as if Karen had him under her thumb, too afraid to stand up to her. Things took a turn for the worse when we started receiving anonymous phone calls and messages, taunting us about Buddy's whereabouts. We suspected Karen was behind these, but we had no concrete proof. The stress of the situation was taking a toll on our marriage. Jake and I found ourselves constantly arguing and on edge, unable to trust anyone, not even each other. We knew we had to put an end to this madness before it tore us apart completely. In a desperate move, we hired a private investigator to track down Buddy's location. After weeks of searching, they finally had a lead. Karen had been keeping Buddy at a friend's house in a neighboring town. Armed with this information, we went to the police with the evidence, hoping they could finally put an end to this nightmare. Little did we know, the confrontation that was about to take place would be one for the ages. The police raided the friend's house and found Buddy, malnourished and traumatized but alive. Karen was immediately arrested and charged with theft, animal cruelty, and harassment. During her trial, the extent of her mental instability became apparent. She claimed she was saving Buddy from us and that we didn't deserve to have a pet. The judge, appalled by her actions, handed down a harsh sentence, 2 years in prison and a lifetime ban on owning animals. While we were relieved to have Buddy back safe and sound, the legal battle took a heavy toll on us, both emotionally and financially. We had to pay for expensive vet bills, lawyers, and the private investigator, not to mention the emotional trauma we endured. Jake's relationship with his father was also strained, as he had chosen to side with his wife throughout the entire ordeal. It was a betrayal that would take a long time to heal from. Even after the legal battle was over, the emotional scars remained. Buddy, our once happy and energetic pup, was withdrawn and skittish, especially around strangers. It broke our hearts to see him so traumatized. As for Jake and me, the trust we once had in our families was shattered. We found ourselves questioning everyone's motives and constantly looking over our shoulders, afraid that Karen or someone else might try to hurt us again. In the end, this experience taught us a harsh lesson about the depths some people will sink to, even those we consider family. It's a cautionary tale about the dangers of narcissism and mental instability, and how they can tear apart even the closest of relationships. While we've made progress in healing and rebuilding our lives, the scars from this ordeal will always be there, a constant reminder of the importance of setting boundaries and protecting ourselves from those who seek to do us harm, no matter how close they may be.